This is grim, and I don't like it. Hi, my name is Sydney, welcome back to hell. And as per usual, before we launch in, today's video is sponsored by InVideo AI. And by friendship. And by friendship, I mean our friendship, which is why you should also check out my newly launched little tea company, Lion's Tea Exchange. It is a great way of supporting my channel, tasting some delicious tea, and I weirdly enjoy packing all of your orders. It makes me happy. So the link is in the description box if you'd like to take a look. Also, because I know a bunch of you are going to ask, they are piercings. Yes, they are in my skin, and no, I did not stick a bunch of rhinestones to my chest. Now, there has been so much commentary and discussion of late around plastic surgery and what makes a person attractive. And no, I am not talking about this weird trend of people negging attractive celebrities and calling them mid. I'm gonna need for you to stop that. At the start of the year, the Boys actress, Erin Moriarty, blasted everyone on social media after a post went viral that compared an image of Moriarty in her late teens to a photo of her after a photo shoot where her cheeks look very sunken. Then a video went viral on TikTok of a woman asking people to guess her age. Many of the responders said that she looked 50 or 60 and criticized her for having no work done. The woman was rightfully quite upset about this, given that she is only 38. And you know, I keep seeing all these videos of men trying to get an extra inch in height, floating around where they break their legs and try to stretch their bones. That sounds really horrifying when I say it out loud. But just the other day in my travels of the internet, I happened upon a video on X, formerly Twitter, of a woman detailing her recovery after getting a temporal brow lift. Temporal? This is basically the process of changing the forehead area and lifting the eyebrows. The video shows the young woman's face as it was and details her healing process post-surgery. But what was really interesting about this was that the comments on the video were decrying the entire process, saying that the girl looked much better before she had this work done, and questioning why she would ever do it in the first place. And all of this got me thinking about how rapidly things have gotten out of control as far as what is attractive goes. It appears we are living in an age where people are seemingly incapable of interpreting what a normal face does and should look like. And as a result of that, they are getting increasingly invasive and crazy procedures, chasing after completely unattainable standards. Humanity has always had a preoccupation with physical attractiveness, but the advent of the internet and the phone cameras that we know and love today have been a complete game changer as far as how we perceive ourselves and those around us. We are exposed to our own appearances also way more than ever before in recorded history thanks to social media. I'm not even sure that the peasants of old had access to a mirror. Is water nature's mirror? I think that's as good as it got. Factor together our obsession with physical attractiveness, overexposure to our own faces, social media, and increasingly impressive cosmetic procedures, and you have a recipe for disaster. So that's what we're going to talk about today, why social media is ruining and distorting our perceptions of our own faces thanks to selfies and filters, and why chasing unrealistic goals as far as your appearance goes is madness. And of course, all of my regular disclaimers here, this video is by no means exhaustive. I am not coming at anybody over the choices that they make as far as their appearances go. I personally partake in the talks, which is why my eyebrows look like this sometimes. But really, I think this is a conversation that needs to be had because some messed up stuff is going on, and I don't know, I want to point it out. But you know, with all of these crazy cosmetic surgeries and the filters and people not knowing what faces look like, the good news is that there is one product that is trying to use AI and technology for good, and that's the sponsor of today's video, InVideo AI. If you've ever wanted to create a video, you know that it can be a little challenging and a lot time consuming. But InVideo AI is trying to change that by enabling you to create and edit videos using simple text prompts. Start with a simple text prompt about your video idea. The more detailed it is, the better the result. Based off the first cut that InVideo generates, keep fine-tuning your creation with their user-friendly interface.
Ever ponder pondered on how a simple headline can shape your perception of reality.
It will write the script, find relevant footage, and even let you add your own voice and subtitles. Meaning, if you want your video to be voiced by you, InVideo can make that happen. And if you don't like something on screen, you can make easy edits to any of these things using the command box. I didn't like this one cut that InVideo gave me, so I asked it to start the video off with a joke.
Why did the president stumble during his speech? Because he was trying to skip over the tough issues.
I know the folks at InVideo AI are committed to enabling anyone to turn their ideas into publish-ready videos. And this is just version 1, meaning that even greater things are on the horizon. So you can try InVideo AI for free today, or if you're serious about content creation, then you can get the same paid plan as me that starts at just $20 a month. This lets you remove watermarks and gives you access to voice cloning and a ton of high-quality stock footage. So click the link in the description and use my code to get twice the amount of video generation credits in your first month. In 2012, a 13-year-old girl called Julia Bloom created a petition on change.org calling for 17 magazine to publish more unedited photos of their models. Bloom said that the bombardment of overly photoshopped images in the magazine was causing her and her peers to develop self-esteem issues relating to their own bodies. The petition read, "Those pretty women that we see in magazines are fake. They're often photoshopped, airbrushed, edited to look thinner, and to appear like they have perfect skin. A girl you see in a magazine probably looks a lot different in real life. That's why I'm asking 17 Magazine to commit to printing one unaltered, real photo spread per month. I want to see regular girls that look like me in a magazine that's supposed to be for me." Well, I hope Julia knows that in 2024, advertisers are trying this type of thing all the time. And it's not going so well. This was certainly not the first call for magazines to publish less altered or completely unedited photos. In fact, this petition came long after people had started calling out the use of Photoshop in media and publications. Years earlier, in 2011, the American Medical Association announced in a press release that it was adopting a new policy against editing photographs, particularly those featured in publications orientated towards teens, that would, quote, promote unrealistic expectations of appropriate body image. The release read in part, "We must stop exposing impressionable children and teenagers to advertisements portraying models with body types only attainable with the help of photo editing software." A short time later, people applauded the magazine Intelligent Life for featuring an unaltered photo of Cate Blanchett on its cover. The publication's editor-in-chief, Tim DeLiesel, wrote about their decision himself, saying that other magazines edit celebrities so heavily, you wonder why the photographer didn't just do a photo shoot with their waxwork. He added that Intelligent Life's Cate Blanchett cover photo was at least trying to reflect real life, and it was a curious sign of the times that this was something to shout about. Even at this time, long before the internet, smartphones, editing software, and social media as we know them today, people were blowing the whistle on the problems associated with editing people's appearances in a way that was unnatural. This was such a big deal, in fact, that magazines were routinely attacked and criticized for airbrushing models or editing their bodies and appearances in a way that was just completely unattainable to the average person. Time lapses eventually started appearing online, showing the editing process on magazine images, showing from start to finish just how unrealistic the final photos actually were. Those of us growing up during this time were repeatedly warned that what we were seeing wasn't real, and we would be unwise to try to emulate it. Actually, the Tumblr girls went in the opposite direction and started the fat acceptance movement. It was a weird, confusing time. But what we didn't know then was that the Photoshop panic of the 2000s and early 2010s was setting the stage for actual problems that would come about partially as the result of editing software. Unrealistic, unattainable appearances were going to become a problem. But it wasn't the highly doctored images of models in magazines that would cause people's perceptions of attractiveness to go haywire. It was the completely manufactured images people would create of themselves, which is obviously not any better. In early January 2024, a TikTok user called Courtney Ball posted a video of her unfiltered makeupless face. She wrote, "Here is a reminder of what the raw face of a 28-year-old girl who hasn't had any work done looks like." She showed her face from different angles before zooming in on the fine lines around her eyes, writing further that discoloration, wrinkles, and imperfections are all normal. Unsurprisingly, Ball's comment section was an absolute bloodbath, because people are butt bags. Some people accused her of looking 40, while others told her she was completely sun-damaged. But some women actually jumped in to defend her and even posted their own unfiltered videos in support. News outlets were quick to write about this onslaught of videos, celebrating this completely mysterious phenomenon of Gen X and millennial women reminding the internet what textured skin looks like by posting their untouched faces. No, that is not a joke, that is an actual headline. And I hate it here. Although I am completely mocking these articles, what they are describing is an actual problem. Today, many people are trying to live up to a standard that simply doesn't exist. One that is entirely dictated by filters and photo editing apps like Facetune. And it started a bit of an alternate trend where people are posting their unedited faces in an effort to undo some of this, reminding others what real skin actually looks like.
This is my face with a ring light and the bold glamour filter. This is my face with a softer filter and a ring light. No ring light. Oops, just kidding. No ring light. No filter. And then this is my face in real life, and with the allergic reaction and hives that I am having everywhere. So yeah.
The problem is, even with some people trying to undo the damage here, our perceptions have already been set, which I think is very much exemplified by the fact that people on the internet don't seem to know what real people are supposed to look like. And even if they do, they are intent on changing their appearances to reflect what they see on their phone screens. On March 1st, 2021, a woman posted a screenshot from the subreddit Skincare Addiction to X, formerly known as Twitter. The screenshot was another woman asking how she could remove the texture from her skin with a photo of her face to illustrate her question. Her skin in the photo, just by the way, is incredibly clear and looks really nice. The X poster captioned the screenshot, "Filters have completely distorted people's perceptions of their own faces." That's putting it mildly. Filters, selfies, and photo editing software has fundamentally changed the way that people view themselves and others. And now there is this bizarre belief that persists that anything less than perfect smooth skin is unnatural and something that must be fixed. You know, it is kind of odd when I think about it. There are all these adult women running around wanting their faces to look like a baby butt. But depressingly, this is only the tip of the iceberg when it comes to the damage being done to people's perceptions of their own faces and appearances in general. In 2018, 3 years after Snapchat released filters to the world, several news publications started questioning the relationship between social media platforms such as Snapchat and Instagram and plastic surgery. A year later, a study was published that confirmed this correlation, ultimately determining that social media, filters, and photo editing apps could be associated with an increased acceptance of cosmetic surgery. It was here the term Snapchat dysmorphia, sometimes known as filter dysmorphia, was coined. This refers to the psychological phenomenon of patients bringing filtered selfies to their surgeons to illustrate the desired surgical changes they are looking to achieve. I bet you anything in a few years' time, this is going to be classified as a mental illness. Mark my words, Susie is going to go into the doctor's office and explain why she needs 15 cheek implants, and he's going to be like, "Hello, police?" Actually, now that I think about it, probably not, considering there's an entire series dedicated to surgeons fixing surgeries that other surgeons should not have done. That it's called botched. Now, before the mid-2010s, the ability to completely alter your appearance digitally was inaccessible to the average person. It was something that either needed to be done professionally, or an individual needed to have access to editing software, a good computer, and the skill base to actually edit. But as social media platforms grew and expanded, and as phone applications got more and more advanced, the restrictions on what could and couldn't be done to images changed drastically. Suddenly, anyone had the ability to alter their images anywhere, anytime from the palm of their hand. When filters first appeared in 2015, they weren't particularly complicated. A person could give themselves dog ears or put a rainbow on their head. But in only a few short years, they evolved into something that could fundamentally change one's appearance in a way that was almost imperceptible to the human eye. Beauty filters work by adjusting all sorts of features on the face. Some add makeup, others make your eyes larger or noses smaller. Some smooth people's skin or even slim their face. But some get even more complex than that, such as the perfect face filter on TikTok and Instagram, which adjusts facial features in accordance with the quote ideal ratio. As time has gone on, these filters have gotten more and more sophisticated, particularly on TikTok, where some users are pointing out that the software is so good, you'd never know that what you're looking at wasn't a real person's face.
Today I learned that this new viral beauty filter was created using machine learning. Unlike traditional beauty filters that use an augmented 3D face mesh that is overlaid on top of your face, filters like Bold Glamour, Teenage Look, uses a machine learning tech called GAN, meaning every pixel on your face is regenerated and then outputted after referencing another data set of images, which is why the filter looks so realistic. That is all. This is Zangsta, over and out.
What the fuck? Now look, the majority of filters that people use on the daily are not this advanced. They have their obvious flaws. But that's not to say that at some point in the future they won't be. And that raises some very depressing questions about how much worse all of this gets. Filter dysmorphia is already playing out on a surgical level, with people showing up at doctors' clinics with a filtered image of themselves saying, "I want to look like this, please." A Vice video from 2018 followed the story of two young women who were having cosmetic surgery to not only look more like their edited photos, but to look better in selfies. One woman, Marla Freza, said that the popular editing app Facetune is like plastic surgery on your phone, and the more you edit, the more that you get that instant high and gratification. She concluded, "I might as well get the real surgery to become the image I really want to portray." Freza ended up having her nose done to look more like the photos she edits. Similarly, 19-year-old Zamira told Vice that she has been looking to get her nose done for years so she can finally take the sort of pictures that she wants. I can't help but find this incredibly depressing. Even considering that I'm a person who is mostly fine with plastic surgery, provided that people aren't like cutting off like healthy limbs and whatnot, which is also a thing. A really odd thing. This Vice video was made 6 years ago. And things have only gotten better and better in the years since, with better apps and better filters and TikTok blowing up. But of course, and obviously, this has only continued to exacerbate what was already a pretty pervasive problem. TikTok has gotten a lot of flack for all sorts of things, like its weird micro-communities or its predatory For You page. But one of the issues that seems to fly under the radar is the way that the app deals with selfies and filters. In 2021, people began speculating that TikTok was secretly, and without users' knowledge, applying beauty filters to their videos. The MIT Technology Review wrote this off as a glitch, but since then, people have continued to report that TikTok automatically sets filters on their videos that they then have to manually disable.
I don't know if anybody else just updated their app, but look at what I am discovering upon opening my camera roll. I knew my face looked off because it's not my face. You don't even have the option where you see the check mark if your filter is on or not. It automatically put it on to a 30% smoothing, whitened my teeth by 20%, didn't mess with my nose, so I guess silver linings where you can find them, got rid of my dark circles, which did not consent, and it changed the degree of my nose. What's troubling about this is that it is the default. I am not opting in, and I feel like we need to be drawing the line at consenting to altering one's face.
I'm pretty sure that's why the TikTok camera has retouch automatically on, because with it off, we see all of the flaws and imperfections in our skin. And when you go live on TikTok, it automatically has all these enhanced features on, which you have to manually turn off. And that's what they do, just change the shape of your face.
TikTok is genuinely, seriously, such a psycho application. Maybe I just think that because I'm old now and I don't get it, but like, what is this? The scary thing is that if this is true and continuing to happen, and if filters are being applied to people's videos without their knowledge, then what they're looking at, unbeknownst to them, is an altered perception of their own face. And this is just my thoughts here and my own perception of this, but surely this is feeding into why people are so unhappy with their own appearances. A research article from 2022 described this issue the following way. Young women ultimately desire to change their appearance because they believe that they should look the way that they appear in the filtered version of themselves. This indicates that they are no longer able to analyze how they appear in reality. Young women frequently react by feeling self-conscious when they see a photo of themselves without any filters. And sadly, to add insult to injury, all of this is exacerbated by a little thing called the front-facing camera. Known to most of you, I would assume, as the selfie camera. Criticize us pre-2000 babies as much as you want, but at least when we were teenagers, we had the manual ones that you had to hold out like really far away from your face, otherwise it didn't work. And I'm sure I'll put some of those photos on screen, because they didn't turn out so great either. Those were simpler times. Better times. Now, what doesn't seem to be tremendously well understood today is that taking photos with the front-facing camera drastically distorts your appearance. That is not conjecture, that is a fact. It's why your forehead looks like the size of Jupiter, and then why you look like you have no ears.
Hi, I'm Caleb, I'm a professional boudoir photographer, and this one little fluke of the way that light moves through glass is legitimately wrecking the way that we see ourselves. Selfie cameras are all wide angle, which makes sense because then we don't have to hold our arms out a million miles away to take a picture of ourselves. But that also exaggerates our facial features, makes our noses look wider, and our ears just disappear. It gives us an unnatural and inaccurate view of our face. Now, a typical portrait lens is going to be zoomed in much more, which is why usually photographers will stand much further back when they take your picture. But that portrait lens will make you actually look like yourself in the way that other people see you. And this selfie cam phenomenon has legitimately led to an increase in people getting rhinoplasty, because they have an inaccurate view of how their nose looks. Plastic surgeons have actually been researching this and coming up with new ways to talk to their patients about how selfie cameras affect how they see themselves, which is yet another reason why we as a society need to learn to be nicer to ourselves, because the way that light moves through glass should not wreck the way that we see ourselves.
The study this man references here is from April 2022 and is called Size and Perception of Facial Features with Selfie Photographs and Their Implication in Rhinoplasty and Facial Plastic Surgery. It determined that selfies taken with the front-facing camera alter how a person's face appears in images. It said patients increasingly use photographs taken with a front-facing smartphone camera, selfies, to discuss their goals with a plastic surgeon. The purpose of this study was to quantify changes in size and perception of facial features when taking a selfie compared to the gold standard of clinical photography. The researchers found that nasal length was 6.4% longer on average in 12-inch selfies, and 4.3% longer in 18-inch selfies, compared to photos taken in a professional setting. With the increasing popularity of front-facing smartphone photographs, this data allows for a more precise conversation between the surgeon and the patient. In addition, the author's findings provide data for manufacturers to improve the societal impact of smartphone cameras. Now, at this point, you might be wondering why I am telling you all of this. And I am going to explain if you would just be patient, Sandra. The onslaught of filters, photo editing software, and social media has obviously had far-reaching consequences. It's like Gen Z's fear of aging is bleeding into the rest of the population and infecting us all. But when we are at a point where people in their 20s who have had no work done are being roasted online for completely normal things like fine lines and other signs of aging and maturing, we have a problem. And this obviously inaccurate, bizarre perception of faces and attractiveness is only exacerbated by the countless celebrities who have recently crawled out of hell, sporting drastic plastic surgery and facial alterations, namely rhinoplasties, temporal lifts, and buccal fat removal. Buccal fat removal. I don't know how to say this. This is a procedure that removes fat from the lower cheek in an effort to highlight the face's bone structure. And this is why I want to impart on anybody watching this video, not just the young women who this seems to affect the most, to be kinder to yourself, as lame as that sounds, and to stop holding yourself to standards that are literally impossible to achieve. And I say this as somebody who loves a good selfie. But even I, as a selfie queen, am acutely aware of the fact that if I were to start using filters or photo editing software a lot on my face, I would probably grow to not like my face. This also might sound kind of stupid, but this is genuinely why I don't use contour on my face, why I very sparingly use false eyelashes, why I don't get lash extensions. And as far as my lips go, I know that I'm missing a top lip, but this is why I don't get lip filler. Because you see, I would much rather exist like this. The thing is, we are already in the throes of filter dysmorphia. This isn't a thing that's on the horizon, it's already here. And at this point, we have already seen just how badly some of these surgeries are going to age. But the sobering reality is that as time wears on, this issue is only going to get more pronounced. Ultimately, if you turn your face into an accessory that has to meet the latest trends based off of something that is completely unachievable in the first place and unrealistic in the first place, as time wears on, you inevitably run the risk of being left behind when those trends inevitably change. And while I don't personally believe that anyone's body should be subject to trends, we've obviously seen how this plays out in real time. In the end, and tragically, this means that the people who have suffered and cut themselves up in order to meet the latest trend or filter folly are left endlessly chasing something to which they will never really catch up. Now on that happy and pleasant note, and before I open the floor to all of you, this is just a reminder to check out InVideo AI using the link in the description. If you are serious about getting into video creation or you just like to dip your toe in, InVideo AI is a great way to do so, and they have some really, really cool tools. Now I open the floor to all of you. What do you all think? Are you someone who thinks that this is a big problem, that filters and photo editing apps and whatnot are definitely having a very deleterious effect on the population, and we really need to get a handle on this? Are you someone who thinks, yeah, this is not that big of a deal? And if you are someone who is susceptible to filters and editing and whatnot, that's a you problem, not a broader societal issue. What do you think of TikTok applying automatic filters to people's videos and tricking them into thinking that's what they really look like? Do you think that this is self-inflicted? Do you think that people should be smarter about how they use social media and these applications when it comes to changing their face? And what do you generally make of this issue overall? As always, if you have made it this far in the video, congratulations. I always like having you guys along for the full ride. If you are not subscribed already and you would like to see more of me and more of this kind of content, feel free to subscribe to the channel. It obviously helps a lot. Leave a like on this video and a comment, because as you all know, I read the majority of your comments and I really like hearing your feedback, especially about issues like this that I think are really pervasive. Of course, that is all from me for today, but stay safe and well, and I will see you pretty people in the next video.